when we were actually looking at market sizing, one of the initial things was we are going to build a consumer product, but who do we build it for, right? And what we chose to build it for is the working couple, right? And basically our thesis was if we can make this product work for the working couple, then we will eventually over time sort of figure out use cases for how different people want to use it, right? So we wanted to sort of make a product that, you think about a working couple, they basically are probably in the office from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. every day. They have a 1 hour commute or a 30-minute commute. And the sheer hassle is that during the week, sort of going and making a trip to the market is actually like not something that's very, very present, that they would rather spend their time doing something else, right? So we came at the problem from that side, that let's build a product that a working couple will actually be able to use for pretty much anything that they need in their house. And if it works for them, then we will figure out how it sort of plays out for the other people.
That is a very specific target segment. Working couples do face a problem when it comes to going to the market and purchasing groceries due to lack of time. This is exactly the key pain point that Grofers is trying to address. As an aspiring entrepreneur, one of the key questions that must come to your mind is it very critical to have your target segment so specifically defined before you jump in and start your business?
It's important you clearly identify your target segment and get a firm understanding of who your customers are. At the end of the session, you should be able to clearly define the target segment for your own venture. Now, let's start with an example. Indigo Airlines. Now, this airline focuses on middle-class Indian households who are price sensitive and value on-time performance. Now, imagine if Indigo Airline, which is basically a low-cost, no-frills carrier, started promoting luxury full-service flights to its target segment. Would you say that it has lost its way? Another example is of a startup, iimjobs. Every job that they post is a premium job, and the target audience are aspirational job seekers from the best schools and colleges in the country. Hence, they avoid posting jobs which would be base level, entry level jobs that the target audience would find irrelevant. So most good ideas start off as a niche. Facebook started only for Harvard students, and Google started as just a search platform. But look at them now. One of the key things that founders should keep in mind as the startup is staying focused helps. It's best to choose a smaller or a niche segment of customers within the overall market and serve that one segment really well. As the venture grows, you can expand it to other areas. Now, if I were to think of an example, Savan is one such company that built its product keeping a niche in mind.
In fact, it's better to supersaturate and have a niche because it allows you to focus on market conditions. It allows you to focus on sensitivities in product and pricing. So I think that, we started with a core focus that was India. It happened to be the diasporas around the world, and we take global rights to our content. So I think when you're starting something, you want to look at it in a very sort of fine kind of neighborhood, as you say, right? And then be able to grow it once you do that well. I think if you do too much too fast, it can be very distracting. And even to this day, we get requests to launch Savan with different content in different countries. But you have to, I think, get your epicenter right first. That would be my sort of take on that, right?
Before your startup, defining the one customer that your venture is going to serve is very important. Again, emphasizing on the one customer. Your understanding of that one customer will help you plan your product and market it correctly. Close your eyes and think of who that one customer is going to be for you. Remember, start small and stay focused. Identifying the right customer segment for your venture idea is important. Equally important is to slice and dice the customer segment. Break it down narrow and focus on the right segment. Market segmentation can be based on geographical factors, that is, by region, city, or even by the rural urban status. It can also be based on demographics, that is, by age, family, gender, income, occupation, and education. Or you can think about market segmentation, which can be based on behavioral factors such as attitudes, benefits, and so on.
जब भी मैं साइंस उत्सव के बारे में बोलता हूँ, मुझे एक दो कहानी हमेशा याद आती है। एक ऐसा कि 2014 में हमको एक स्कूल ने बुलाया था एक साइंस वर्कशॉप करने के लिए, और हम लोग उस स्कूल के साथ पिछले 3 महीने से काम कर रहे थे। और जब हम लोग स्कूल के अंदर घुसे तो एक बच्चा लेट क्लास के अंदर जा रहा था, और जैसे ही हमको देखा वो भागते हुए गया कि अरे आज साइंस उत्सव वाले आए, आज बहुत मज़ा आएगा। तो ये जो सुनना है, दैट इटसेल्फ इज़ ग्रेट, क्योंकि हम लोग जो कर रहे थे वो बच्चों में डिफरेंस ला रहा था, वो पढ़ाई को इंटरेस्ट से देख रहे थे।
Now, Mercedes customer segment, the focus is fundamentally different from Maruti's. TV channels such as Disney, Hungama, and the others choose to target the children segment only. Now, there are many examples of this. Think about the e-commerce companies. Most of the e-commerce companies started by targeting the urban male in the age group of 18 to 25 years. Now, let's look at the insights that Ambarish Murthy, founder of Pepperfry, has to share on the e-commerce wave.
I think broadly, there are a few waves in e-commerce. And the way it works is the first wave in e-commerce tends to be the wave of electronics and fairly standard products. So you have people buying mobile phones, digital cameras, books, DVDs, CDs, etc. online. And that's followed very often by a wave which is the fashion wave, wherein people buy brands of fashion. They know what those brands stand for in the real world, and therefore when they're buying them online, they have a fair degree of comfort on the kind of products that they will be getting. And the third wave of e-commerce tends to be even more non-standard products, which are products such as the products that Pepperfry sells, which is furniture and home. Now, if you look at the more developed part of the world, right, it took about 15 years for these three waves to materialize. And in India, these three waves happened in the span of 5 years. And today, we know that customers buy a lot of home and furniture products online and so on. So that's the evolution of the shopping behavior. Now, what that results in is a whole bunch of things related to the demographics of the customer change. So you have, so if you ask somebody who constitutes e-commerce 3 years back, they would have typically said men. So it was men who were buying shoes, men who were buying athletic sports gear, men who were buying the electronics, men who were buying the mobile phones. Today, I think, and especially true for Pepperfry, it's all about the independent Indian woman. And women have become a large chunk of the overall buying segment in e-commerce. So that's an underlying demographic shift that's happened. The other shift is earlier e-commerce was supposed to be the bastion of the metros. That's moving down town class at a very rapid rate. So you have a large chunk of business for all players, including us, coming from tier 2, 3 towns across India.